occasions, and I have reached out to her work on numerous occasions, and they brush me off. They don't seem to take it too seriously. My mom has a registered sex offender tied to her address that went to jail for raping his daughter. Now, I have a lot of people in my family who have had issues with the men in our family doing this. I immediately obviously assumed it was my father. I questioned my entire family, asking if my dad had ever been alone with my daughter. And like I said, prior to ever allowing my family around my kids without me there, I made sure that they all knew that it was stipulated that my dad is to never be alone with my daughter. And they all agreed to it. So my ex's father is the only one that was ever alone with my daughters. I always had a really uncomfortable feeling about him. I thought it was just me, that I didn't like him because maybe of like political things or something else, but I just always got that really, really bad vibe of like, I don't want you to touch me. Like when he would try to give me a hug, I would be like, eh. I just always had that instinct. And my, he's overly nice. He seems overly nice, so fake, beyond fake to the point where, like, that is just not his real personality. You can tell that it's a facade. He's actually very angry, and, like, I have a lot of proof of that. He's very angry, aggressive, and yells a lot. And he also has bipolar disorder. That's another thing. If he has bipolar disorder, how do I know he's not delusional? Like, he's diagnosed with bipolar disorder. The man's had multiple heart attacks because he has such bad anger issues. Like, how are they going to try to use my mental illness against me? That doesn't make any sense. But I'm sharing my daughter's story to help advocate for them. There's a lot more to this story. This is just the hard, solid fact that my daughter came to me saying that her grandfather hurt her vagina, and that I reached out to my entire family for, support to help, see if that was something she needed to pursue, if it had actually happened, and if we had to press charges on someone, and if there had to be an investigation open. Instead, I was basically gaslit constantly, and anytime I brought it up, it was just brushed off, and it was like, oh yeah, you can make an appointment if you want, but it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. And I asked for help from her dad on so many times, and her dad denies it as well. And I've had issues with him and saying certain things about my daughters that make me question his behavior or his the way he sees our daughters, and if he's sexualizing them. But I'm not going to get into that right now. That is not the most pressing issue. I don't want to accuse her father of something just because his father is the same way. I have seen my ex, like, rubbing my daughter's nipple like this while she was being given a bottle, like when she was like a little bit under 4 months old. It was hot, and she was getting a bottle from her dad. I was in the kitchen washing dishes, and I saw him like holding the bottle like this as he was holding her, like, and with this hand that was giving my daughter the bottle, he would have his hand like this, like just kind of like resting it on her nipple, just kind of like touching her nipple, but and like rubbing it. But I don't know if that was something that he fully grasped that he was doing or not. I don't know if that was just like he was just resting his finger on her chest and like, trying to caress her. It did strike me the wrong way when I saw it. I immediately like reprimanded him for it. And I immediately took the baby away from him, and I put her in the crib, and I grabbed the bottle, and I told him to get out of the house. And he didn't understand what he had done wrong, and or he claimed to not understand what he did wrong. And I kind of thought I was overreacting, and after a while, I let him convince me that it was no big deal. But other than that, I've never physically seen my ex, do anything strange other than that one instance. I've heard things. I've heard him say things that make me question what he's thinking. Like one time he was changing my daughter's diaper, and I was in the living room with my 2-year-old, or my now 2-year-old. She was 1 at the time, and he was changing Mariah on the changing table in my bedroom, and he goes, I know I'm her dad. He shouts at me. I'm in the living room. He's in the bedroom. He shouts at me. He goes, "Hey, Missy, I know I'm your dad, but I know I'm her dad, but doesn't Mariah have the prettiest little vagina you've ever seen?" And I was like, "What?" He goes, "I know I'm her dad." I'm sorry, I missed the spot. "I know I'm her dad, and I shouldn't say this, but doesn't Mariah have the prettiest little vagina you've ever seen?" And I was like, "What?" Like, in my head, I was like, and he goes like, I know that came out wrong. And I was like, "Yeah, no, it's fine. I know what you mean." But in my head, I'm like, "What?" And, there's just been certain things, like, in the way that they kiss each other. The way that he allows her to kiss, and, like, how he's talking about how he always loves when she pulls his head in and kisses him for a long time. And he just thinks it's, like, so endearing, and like the way that he responds to it seems a little bit off. But other than that, I cannot accuse my ex. I would not, unless my daughter came to me and said he actually physically touched her and that she was uncomfortable. She told me that her papa hurt her vagina, and she grabbed toys and tried to put them in herself and said papa's name, and she did the same thing when my ex was changing her. On numerous occasions, would try to grab toys and put them inside of her, and say Papa's name. It should be going like this: "Papa, Papa," with the toy, "Papa, Papa." And then I would, have to move. I would literally have to hold her arms down while I'm giving her a diaper change, and then she would scream, "Owie, owie, owie, owie," as I was wiping her. So I'd be really, really, really soft, and she would constantly scream, "Owie, owie, owie." And after almost every time I had to change her diaper, I would call her dad and just be like, "What is going on? This is crazy." And still, nothing was ever addressed, and he never did anything about it. And at the point where I started wanting to do something about it, and I reached out to my family, I reached out to his family, and I said, "I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to get us out of this situation, and we're going to live a good life, and we're going to get some answers, and we're going to go to a domestic violence shelter." And I told them I was already on a waiting list, and I told them that they needed to leave me alone, and that I would be back in touch with them when, things were going to be, like, distanced. I told her dad that, we're going to have to put some distance between us, that until I, have some answers and have, the strength and ability to trust the situation with my kids and what's going on. And that's the day that they had the police come in and remove my children from my care, and told the police that I was delusional, that I was accusing them of molesting her when they weren't molesting her. I don't know why any police officer would believe someone if they were like, "Yeah, she's saying that I'm molesting them, but I didn't molest them. She's got bipolar disorder." Like, I'm sorry, but that's why police need better training. So stop with the defund the police stuff, because if you defund the police, we're going to have, like, the worst, like, police force in the history of the world. What we need is for us to stop spending money on new guns and new cars and new transportation for the police and all these new fancy gadgets. Like, they need better training. They need psychology behind their belts. They need to be able to take, like, they should be taking, like, college psychology courses and early childhood development, because they need to know the difference between, and they need to know how these things happen, so that they know exactly how, abusers manipulate their victims and the people trying to reach out and advocate for them, because the police single-handedly allowed them to, and had a biased opinion, and immediately basically took their side. And that's really unfortunate. Super unfortunate, especially because, like, I, as a woman, I want to specifically ask, like, mothers out there, you would never want, I've been a victim of child molestation, You would never, ever want your child to think that they were molested. You do not want them growing up thinking that they were molested and having to live with that confusion and that guilt and that just like unknowing why that, you know, nobody loved you. Like, it feels like you weren't capable of someone's love. And that's not fair. That's not fair for the mothers, like, out there that convince their child to lie, like, so that they get custody. They don't have, you know, that they try to manipulate the situation. I ask you and I implore you, do not do that to your child. You don't want them growing up thinking that something happened to them that didn't. You do not want them having, like, memories of something that didn't, like, and putting that in their head without solid evidence, or solid reasoning behind why you're doing it. So as moms out there, please don't do this as a ploy. I beg of you. It is not fair or healthy to do to your child, because you do not want them. It's a hard process. It really is, to have to, like, build yourself back up after years of abuse. And you don't want your child thinking that that happened to them unless they're telling you that it happened to them. So don't go out there and, like, put ideas in your kids' heads, because that's not fair. And I'm asking, you know, as a parent whose child has not had proper justice, because apparently this is something that women do, to get back at men. And it is not. Don't do that to someone that hasn't, out of spite, that did something bad to you, so you want to hurt them. That is not right. Like, there are programs in place, and the people that need to be in those programs need to be in those programs, and stop making other moms out there look bad and make it hard for them to come forward because of the fact that, you know, you're saying things out of spite. And I beg other moms out there to just take into consideration, like, how you make it hard for everybody else that wants to come forward, because we are treated like we're lying, and we're trying to get back at someone out of spite for something that they've done. Because believe me, my ex has done a lot of horrible stuff, but none of it is worthy of accusing him of molesting a child. That's not something you should do to anyone unless you genuinely believe that happened. And I genuinely believe that my ex's father touched my daughter Mariah, because she came to me and she told me that he was giving her owies on her vagina. 3 to 4 weeks after not seeing her grandfather, she stopped with the behaviors, and it slowly stopped. And the crying, the throwing fits, demanding to talk to Papa and see Papa, they stopped. Trying to put toys in her vagina, trying to touch it, trying to spread herself apart like this and look at it. It stopped. It only took 3 to 4 weeks. And to me, that kind of says something. It was right after she had gotten back from her grandfather's house that she was saying Papa. And that her Papa had hurt her vagina. And unfortunately, like, my daughter's had a very, very high issue with constipation in the past, and I'm starting to put the pieces together and do the research and understanding what the signs are. And that's why, as parents out there, if you're parents of young children that can't communicate with you, know the signs. Research the signs yourself. I know it's hard. I know it's a subject that we don't want to think could ever happen to our kids, but it does, and it's unfortunate, and you want to be there to protect your child from that. And instead of going into denial, you want to make sure you know the signs. I wish I knew more of the signs. I only knew the few that, were obvious to me. I didn't know the physical signs of how their bodies would be. I had, like, the constipation, not wanting to eat, being very picky and not, only wanting to eat certain things, demanding that, they don't eat, throwing fits, throwing toys. I didn't recognize all of the signs, and I feel like I failed my daughter. So I implore you to reach out and do your own research, and that way it doesn't happen to your children, or if you notice the behaviors in another child, that you can reach out to their parent as well. I hope that you guys share this story and share the petition. The judge's name is Anthony Upland. He's in L34 of the Lamoureux Justice Center in Orange. I filed a petition for his jurisdictional impeachment. He was sworn in by Jerry Brown. Jerry Brown is the same governor who made it no longer illegal to disclose to your sexual partner if you knew that you had an STD and exposed them to that. So that says a little bit of something about Jerry Brown. Personally, I kind of would want to know if my partner knew that they had an STD and were having sex with me anyway. I think that's exposing someone to a deadly or like any sort of ST or any sort of illness should be something that they're obligated to tell. But the judge basically told me that he listened. He basically said that, because he couldn't say, whether or not it was delusion or not, that he granted custody to my ex. Now, I'm sorry, but like, why do you as a judge get to play God and like decide what went on in someone's head and what didn't, or what happened in real life and didn't? I'm like, that's something that like really doesn't compute well in my head. And if you have a degree in law and a degree in science, yes. He went to UCLA, I believe, was the school that he went to. That's Judge Anthony Eflin. He studied law, and I believe he has a bachelor in business or a master's in business. I can't say like 100%. I know it's on the legal website, but that you can get all the information on. But he studied law and business, and so therefore he does not have any background in psychology at all. Why is he ruling in these cases and deciding what went on in someone's head and what didn't? Because if he doesn't have any background in psychology, he doesn't know what common delusions are, and he doesn't realize that's not really a common delusion as much as it is a repressed memory if that is happening. And so to say someone is, possibly making it up because of the fact that, they have bipolar disorder, that's actually incredibly toxic. That's saying that, like, I have no credibility whatsoever because I have a chemical imbalance in my brain that I was born with. And I don't understand why, like, that holds any grain or value, especially when the fact that the father, his father has bipolar disorder. His son has bipolar disorder. His family has history of mental illness as well. So why are they trying to use that against me? Like, it makes no sense. So is his father delusional? Like, I could easily say that his grandfather was delusional because he's bipolar disorder. Like, oh, it's all in his head because he's, just having an episode and, he's delusional and it's psychosis. Like, I'm sorry, but that's standard. That's standard how these things work and how people try to hold you down. That's typical abuse. That's like neurotypical human pathological abuse. So, I'm just reaching out to, unfortunately, the whole world at this point. It's not something that I wanted to have to put out there like this. It's very unfortunate. It's embarrassing. I feel like I should have taken more action and done more for my kids while I had the chance. But now I'm doing whatever I can to not only help my kids, but any other kids that come under the path of this judge that thinks that he can just like say people are delusional. I mean, that's manipulation of an outpatient. I'm pretty sure that he'd be in big trouble if he got charged with that. But that's besides the point. I just want to make sure that this judge gets impeached, that any judge that replaces him that is, ruling under juveniles themselves, that they have psychology or some sort of experience, like, with these kinds of cases, so that, because this judge is male judge, I believe he's German. Not that has anything to do with anything. I'm German too, but I'm pretty sure, like, it seems odd that, like, a male would just, say that you're making it up, especially with everything in the media these days, and all of the elitist, as if we don't know what you guys do to our kids, and, how they try to hide it and manipulate it. So why is Orange County Social Services, not only that, but there was a social worker named Martin Garcia that lied under oath on the stand, and I have physical proof to that. That's broad. So I don't know why Orange County Social Services is allowed to get away with this or why this is happening. But I have no drug history. I am sober. I could drug test clean at any point. I don't drink. I don't smoke marijuana. I don't do any sort of recreational drugs. I, you know, not poorly educated. I do have, a history of mental health because of my bipolar disorder and things, but, and my anxiety disorder. But a lot of people do. That's not, uncommon in America, that for someone that has a mental health issue to not live a completely functioning life and be able to take care of themselves. So it's kind of mind-blowing that a judge would be able to dictate if someone is able to take care of their kids solely on a brain disorder, because if someone had, say, like cancer or like an actual physical illness instead of a brain disorder, how could there's no way a judge would be able to be like, oh, you can't take care of your kids because you're sick, unless they were actually severely sick and physically couldn't take care of their kids. But he couldn't just say that. And so I'm trying to impeach this judge so that we can advocate for our juvenile judges, or judges in general, to have some sort of background in psychology so they can see and understand the difference between how these things work. I don't think it's that hard to ask and that hard to, I don't think it's that too much to ask for, that the people that are ruling our lives have some sort of background on the human condition. So yeah, my name is Melissa. Please sign my petition, share it. I'll update you guys. I'll keep you posted about anything that might happen. Our biggest challenge is to be impeaching this judge so that it doesn't happen again, so that someone that may replace him has a little bit more experience with behaviors of children and past abuse. This judge, I think, has only been a judge for about 4. It's definitely no more than 8 years. 8 years seems like a long time, but I believe it's 4 years that he's been a judge for. So I guarantee there's judges out there that have seen more cases. He's still kind of, fresh to ruling under juveniles. And in my opinion, why does someone who has a business and law degree want to be ruling under children in the first place? Is that why they went to school? So again, just think about it. Read the petition, share it with your friends, anyone that cares, and let's all stick together. Women and children need to stick together. The men out there that, trust us, that want to help end this abuse on our children, please, we need your help. We need more men on our side, and for you guys to, step back and realize, hey, there's some people out there, and it's not just men. It is typically, statistically, more often men than women, but it isn't just men. It does happen with women as well. And so as a community, we all need to come together to help, protect our children and help our country, our planet, and figure out how to find a solution for all of the abuse on our kids. And thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry this got lengthy. I so very much appreciate you. Please add me on Facebook or follow me on Instagram, which is Child Abuse Awareness OC. That's all spaced with underscores. So that's child_abuse_awareness_OC for Orange County. I'm coming to you from California. My name is Melissa, and my daughters are Mariah and Madalena. And I hope you follow our story, my daughter's story. Help me advocate for them and help me change our county here in Orange, and that's in California. Help me change America. Not start small with our current community and branch out, and let's just all come together and make sure this doesn't happen anymore. Now that we have, social media, we can start exposing things a little bit more and more. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't appreciate anybody sexualizing my children, and I think it's time that it ends. So please follow, share, like. Let me know if you have anyone that you know that is going through something similar that could support. We can support each other. If you have any questions, I have been through it. I can help direct you to certain resources if you need them. So please reach out at any point, and I appreciate your time and your follow. Thank you so much, and have a great day. You guys enjoy your holidays as well, and be blessed.